One. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to Football Worldwide and to another edition of European Weekly Catch-Up. That's right, it is European Weekly Catch-Up, not Serie A Roundtable, despite the guest that I have on with me tonight. Bruno couldn't join us tonight because he was feeling a bit unwell, so I got the A-team in. Starting from the top, Anthony, how are you, brother?
It's good to be here. It's good to see you. It's good to see Armo. I know how much my friend Armo loves the national team, so I wore the La Nazionale shirt. Got Inter with the Campione in the background. Yeah, just for you, Armo, my friend. But no, it's good to see my friends, and it's good to be here. Really a blessing.
Love it at all. Azil Armo, it's the first time we've been on a podcast together, but I think tonight's episode is one that's going to suit you down to a T. Very interested to what you've got to say tonight. How are you, Bello?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me as a guest. And I think I feel better here in the European environment because Serie A I feel too small for me. So I might stay here with you forever.
That's why we're Football Worldwide. We cover everything worldwide. I think we can cater for you now, Azil. So there's no problem there. Guys, tonight's episode, we've got a special one for you. We're going to be discussing and dissecting the latest FIFA report, which came out to showcase the last 10 years in international transfers that have happened for 2011 to 2020. So I think so going from that, Anthony, how's things, brother? Let's get that first one up, starting from the top. So this is the first image we'll show, the highest transfers of the last 10 years. So, Anth, let's have a look at this one, huh?
It's an interesting one, man. So obviously you have the Neymar transfer to PSG. Now, boys, obviously we're discussing this as subjective football fans. So I want to talk about the context of what I know about these deals. I actually traveled to Europe for the first time in 2013. And the day I landed in Barcelona was the day that they announced that Neymar had transferred from Santos from Brazil. And everyone in Barcelona was buzzing to the point of no return. Like, I thought it was incredible that I was there on this day. I'm like, I've seen this kid play. I'm excited about him, but now I'm monumentally excited about him. He's the real deal. The transfer to PSG has a lot more, political, logistical things behind it, but it was only a matter of time before this gentleman tried to break out of Messi's shadow. In terms of the other transfers, a couple of the similarities that I can pinpoint out are, in terms of age bracket, they're not too far away from one another. You've got your transfers like Coutinho out of Liverpool. Man, the way that they were able to use that 160 million was incredible. Barcelona, we saw, have made a host of horrible decisions. And I know for a fact Armando will comment more on that. They've been in the pits in terms of financially making decisions in the last 10 to 11 years. And Dembele resembles that as well after getting him from Dortmund for 145 million. It just reeks of deals that there's players in a certain age bracket that they have so much potential that certain clubs are willing to break all sorts of banks, all sorts of transfer funds for him. But these sort of deals that we've put up on the screen right now, they're happening even more and more these days. Like, even as I say this, we've seen some triple-digit figures in a pandemic transfer market that just passed us now. So looking at this list right now, no player in the world resembles a transfer figure that justifies this sort of purchase, but it really also showcases the financial flexibility, especially when you can bluff your way through a fabricated sort of market that sort of doesn't have any backbone or reserves. And then a pandemic comes along, and then you're Barcelona, you need to lose your best player, and you're a lot of other clubs in the world, and you go into some sort of financial liquidity as well. It doesn't make any sense to me. It reeks of corruption as well. So I'm going to go over to Armando next. What do you got to say about this, man?
Looking at this report, there's two things that jumps on my mind. First of all, in the last 10 years, the most expensive player and Messi and Ronaldo are not there. That's weird. Because think about the two best players we had in the last 10, 15 years. They did change club, especially Ronaldo. Their price is not there. And to reinforce this, looking at this chart again, I will tell you straight away that money transfer doesn't mean you're going to bear a great deal, because none of these players, except probably Neymar to PSG, if we really wanted, but that's pushing. They achieved anything at the new club. So two things. The two best players of the last 15 years are not in this chat. And the players that are in this chat, their transfer market did not reflect the result on the pitch. So really, just spending money doesn't guarantee you anything. Looking at this chart, money-wise, I don't think we're going to see this kind of number anymore. I know there is one or two clubs right now that can still spend those money. We're probably going to touch on that later on, so I'm not going to go deep now. But I don't think any club will do this for two reasons. First, with the pandemic. Second, and most important, all the top players will push towards the end of their contract because they have the power to decide where to go. Even if they want to stay, put this way: a player that have one more year of contract, what's the point to sign up a renewal now in the pandemic when the club will ask him to reduce his contract? Even if that player wants to reduce his contract, it would be smart for him to sign a new contract in 12 months' time. At least for these 12 months, he takes his money. And that is going to be the leitmotiv, that's what they say in France, of the future market. Unless the Bosman sentence get reevaluated and football player get taken away from the list of European employed and create a new category for football player, and things might go back where the free transfers does not exist anymore. Because the reason why players can leave for free is because right now for the European Union, the player are normal employed. So if I'm free to leave my company to go work for another company, player have to have the same freedom. But realistic, Neymar, it's not like my dad. My dad's got to work in the factory. If he get a better job, he can leave. Neymar, you know what I mean? I think it's funny that you put people that works and high-priced football players and the same bracket of law. Something needs to be changed.
Yeah, the other thing, looking at this one before we move on to the next topic that we wanted to bring up, the thing that screams to me is that you see Barcelona into number 3 and number 4 into this list, and it just shows the shambles of the player. Buying Coutinho for Liverpool, 160 million. He only lasted a season before he went to Bayern Munich.
It was so embarrassing there was a clause in his contract where Barcelona had to pay Coutinho a bonus if he won the Champions League. Then they loaned him out to Bayern Munich and he won the Champions League. So by law of his contract, Barcelona had to pay him for winning the Champions League for Bayern Munich.
There you go. Doesn't that show just the shambles of the management of what they've got there? To see that they've played Coutinho and Dembele odds on, how they've paid so much money, and look at the result of what they've got, and especially just out of those two players there, you can't say they've got bang for their buck right there. So I don't know, man. I think they've definitely, and look, it just goes to show the shambles of what the club in at the moment. They've had to let Messi go. They've lost a few. They've had to let go of Griezmann now and the on loan back to Atletico. Just to be able to cover their books.
They've let go of their young players as well, man. They've let go of their young players as well. It's horrible.
The thing is, Jonathan, it's these clubs, they've been pooling and making the gap of their debts bigger and bigger and bigger. And they start investing their future money. The money they might get in the next 2 Champions League, the money they're going to get from the ticket. Then what happened? COVID came. And there is no future money anymore. Now, every club had 12 months of freedom. Like there was not much control. So club could hold the payment for the salary for 12 months, because of the COVID. Now, this year, at the start of every league, federation will be clear. You want to participate, you have to pay all your wages up to the date, and you're going to follow up all the rule back again. So lots of clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona, they're in trouble now because the gap is huge and there is no more fund. Because one thing people don't understand, when you shut down the stadium, it's not just the ticket that you sell that you lose. The sponsor, don't want to be on a stadium empty. People not working with COVID, they cannot buy the game on TV. So it's a big shine. It's all the indotto and whatever up and around that get affected.
100%. And I think we'll leave that one at that point. The next one that we wanted to get into is the national of players being transferred. Now, looking at this list, we've got Brazil, 15,128 players. The second place, it's more than doubled Brazil compared to Argentina. Then we've got the British, French, and Colombians. So that just goes to show. Amo, sorry, I'll start with you first.
Good.
What makes you think that Brazil have got more than double compared to what Argentina have got in the last 10 years?
I think there's a lot involved, but let's start with things. First of all, Brazil is 6 times the size of Argentina. So population numbers already a point in favor. All the other countries in this list, they are teeny in respect to Brazil. But Brazilian players are cheap, have a exotic name that fans like it, because if your name is Immobile and you play for Lazio, you have that kind of, reflection. If your name is Immobilinho and you come from Santos, everybody got excited. It's the trick. Also, they're very cheap. So what happens is you buy volume, especially because this 15,000, that's not the top player. This is the volume of play they come. These clubs, they buy 2 or 3 players together as a packaging. It's easy to go through, and eventually you're going to get one good. So they cheap, exotic name, people like Brazilian player, and also there's nothing wrong to accept that South American players, skillful wise, they're way, way better than European players, and Brazilian players on top are more tactically educated than Argentinian player or Colombian player. They're more easy those days to suit into a European football style than an Argentinian or Colombian, because things are changing in South America, So as a club, to me, those are the 3 main reasons: the popularity of the name, the price, and also the good players.
Yeah, no, I think you're pretty spot on the money there. Guys, before we before you jump in, guys, just remember what we're discussing tonight is our personal opinions and subjective to what we believe. By no means whatsoever do we take this as fact. We're only going off the numbers that have come out from the FIFA report. So I just wanted to throw that comment in. So don't banter us or slam us that you think we're wrong and all that. This is just our personal opinions, guys. So
Exactly.
Thank you.
We're not journalists. We're not journalists, and we don't pretend to be. Actually, because I don't like the category anyway. So.
And what's your point? What's your outtake on this, brother?
No, I'm glad you went to Armor first, man, because he's a little bit more in touch with South American football. But I would agree for the most term. And for a lack of a better term, I feel bad saying it, but Brazilian players are very marketable. They're very flashy. Everyone in the world is going to love a Brazilian player before they love anything else in the world. It was the way it was when I was in primary school. It's the way it was when everybody is in school, man. So to be honest, bro, that's sort of, and I agree with Amos says, these Brazilian players, when I watch them play, their individual brilliance, they're a lot more tactically flexible to be slotted into European teams. Their whole Joga Bonito style and individual flair, you can just pick out Brazilian players and say, I want this player in my team to do 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z. They're not as tactically shackled as because they are sort of free roaming players. And forgive me if I'm wrong in saying that. And that's all it is, in my opinion, man. I believe that the sort of hype around Brazilian players, especially young players as well, and Amos said it as well, you can pick 100 fish out of them, and as long as they get 10 of them as world-class players, that's it. The job's done. They can claim it as a superior sort of nation, and that's my opinion on it, man. The gap between Brazilians and other European players is interesting. There's no Spanish, there's no Italian on that list. There's no Dutch on that list. There's no German on that list.
We don't have 4,000 players Italian in Serie A, man.
That's true. Yeah, he's very right.
Nah, very true. I think also just to finish up on the point, currently who's the most successful nation in the World Cup? Brazil. Mm-hmm. And in saying that as well, I think also as we've grown up, Anthony, watching Ronaldo, R9, the original, Kaká, Ronaldinho, all these players that have all come from Brazil, you probably get that feeling that some of the clubs that are around the world trying to get these Brazilian players are probably looking to find that next gem. You're probably looking for that little someone special that might be, exactly like Armo had mentioned before. That's probably why you've got more than double compared to the Argentinians. So I think you're definitely on a point there, boys. So no, I'm pretty happy with that one. But guys, next one. The third one we're going to get to, the highest spending clubs in the transfer market on the post 10
That's
years.
Man in Napoli's top 3, isn't it?
Look, is there any surprise to see who's at the top there? Let's be perfectly honest. So, Amph, you're a fan of the Premier League, not that side of the Manchester, but mate, what do you got to say for this one? Is it any surprise to see that name there?
Let's look at how many trophies have been won out of this group of clubs. There's a fair bit, all right. So City have won their fair share, but their ultimate goal was to win the Champions League. They have not done that for any amount of money that they've spent. You could say Chelsea's end game was to win the Champions League. Always, when you've got Abramovich money, you've almost got more money than anybody in football, bar maybe one or two clubs. So fair play to them. Barcelona, we already talked about, a little bit of a shambles. Paris, this FIFA report, did it come out before the Messi transfer, before this particular transfer market?
Yeah, this is finished in 2020. So
yeah, so even though they got a couple of those deals for free, they might have jumped one or two places more after this particular market. But in terms of the other clubs, John, Ardmore, there's no particular surprise for me there. I mean, Arsenal, the fact that they're 8th and you're telling me it's before this market, they spent more in England in this market than any other club, and they're coming last. Something's wrong in the system, man. Something is severely broken in the system. If that is what I've just said, triple digit, 125 million pounds spent, and you're coming last in England, and you're the 8th ranked spending team in Europe prior to the statement that I've just made. Juventus, they brought in Cristiano Ronaldo. Their ultimate goal is to win the Champions League. They've under-succeeded in that aspect as well. I think Real Madrid was higher on that list, and the last 2 seasons might have actually seen them drop because they've actually taken a step back from transfers, bar the Eden Hazard deal. But they've just recently started to make a couple of moves again. For me, there's no surprises there. The clubs with the ownership, the funding, the financial ambition to match the trophies and the accolades are succeeding. And at the end of the day, I don't know if Amr will disagree with me, but to a certain extent in football these days, money does buy you success. There's only so much money you can spend before those 11 players on the pitch ransack those other 11 players on the pitch. At the end of the day, I don't think Didier Deschamps is a great manager, but that French team won the 2018 World Cup and then got absolutely ransacked 2 years later on the pitch at the Euros, 2.5 years later. I don't know, man. That's all I've got to say. I'm interested in hearing your opinion, Amor.
To me already.
Yeah, Amor. I was going to say before, seeing the money that's being spent with these clubs and all that, is there any real surprise to see 2 English teams at the top of this list compared to when you see the commercial agreements and the TV rights and all of that England have compared to some of the other leagues around the world?
Listen, this is 10 years, like he said, so things might be different. But if you compare these to the first lot that we show, money do not buy success, because we saw the most expensive transfer beside the Neymar. All the other were fluke. And even here, all these teams spend big money, but I hardly remember what Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, Arsenal, Juventus, and Tottenham winning the Champions League. You have Barcelona, Real Madrid, which they won in the past, and you have what's his name, Chelsea, that did last year. But what will be interesting on this slide, I don't know if you got an access, so I quite don't remember. I don't think you have it. I know this is the team that spend more money, but out of this team, Atletico Madrid, I'm pretty sure, is the only one into the greens, because Atletico Madrid spent, but Atletico Madrid didn't sell. So
yeah,
out of this
I think that's a different one that we got coming up.
I think it's Atletico Madrid is the only team in this list that's still spending, but with the money that he makes it. So, it does not surprise me. Like Kumbare of us says all the time, Anthony Seminara, Manchester City and PSG, they money from state. You cannot compare against them. Now, some people like it. Some people think it's unfair. I'm not going to get into that. But the world power in football is shifted. Serie A dominated for 20 years. We used to go around and like the Brazilian, we used to buy teams in Brazil, not play teams, 11. Give it all 11 to me. We used to go to Real Madrid. Inter went to Real Madrid and bought Ronaldo. Did it? Moratti went there and goes, how much?
Yeah.
Napoli bought Maradona from Barcelona. Napoli bought Maradona from Barcelona.
Yeah.
You know,
Can I ask a question? Is the Super League supposed to solve some of these issues or not necessarily then?
the Super League, the way they presented was a fluke because they keep it as a group and there was only to save their culo. Because they went, you see now, all the teams that really push for Super League are the one that got no money. The one that got no money. Huh? If FIFA insist with all this international break, and if UEFA did not come an agreement with the club to give some more power back to the clubs, because the clubs are the one that puts the money. The president puts in the money, but then one of their players is going to leave to go play against Trinidad and Tobago for a World Cup qualification, break his legs, and he's not going to play for 2 months, but the club paid big million for the players. Then I believe that the Super League will come back into fashion. And if they open to everyone, they're going to have a lots of support from other clubs because the bucket is full, man. President cannot always pay, and they get nothing. The players can leave at the end of the contract. Player can go play national team, but can get injury. Agents can do whatever they want. So at the end of the day, the president of a club are there to do what? To just buy and spend money. It's not going to happen anymore. So Super League is not going to fix, but Super League was a good items that can be used to trade FIFA and UEFA. Say, hey, you know what? You keep pushing, we keep losing. You know what? I'm going to call Juventus, Real Madrid, and Barcelona and start joining them. And instead of being 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, if start being 50, 60 club, then I don't know what's going to happen.
Just as was saying that as well, the opposite of getting injured, there are clubs in uproar at the moment for nations taking their superstars to international duty and letting them sit on the bench and do absolutely F4 for 340 minutes of international football. Like, what's the point of taking them? They can stay in their city, they can train, they can still adapt to their team. What's the point of them travel? They're not even going to get a play.
You got Napoli, Juventus Saturday. Then Juventus got the Champions League, I think Liverpool or something.
Yeah.
Napoli got UEFA. Then the weekend after, Napoli's got a game. Juventus got AC Milan. Then there is another game, and then the Sunday. And Quadrado and Ospina, in order to play for Napoli and Juventus, needs to take a private jet to make it in time for the game. There is 3 South American players. They're going to land in Torino while the game is already started in Napoli. Do you think it's fair for Juventus to show up in Napoli without 3 players because the last game they played was too close for flying and jet lag and everything and make it to Italy? Juventus paid the salary of those players. No, not the AFA Federation or wherever. The FIFA screwed big time putting this national break. But one thing is good, and if I can stay on this for 1 more minute, it's great.
Yeah.
Yesterday, UEFA back up the clubs against the FIFA idea of having World Cup every 3 years. And also yesterday was formed a commission by ex-player. But when I say ex-player, Ronaldo, Il Fenomeno, Cantona, all these players, in charge of this committee, there's a lot of coach, but Arsene Wenger is the coach in charge of this committee. They're going to talk to ECA. ECA is the union of the club in Europe. And they are planning the changes, the cut and trim, to put on international football from 2024 onwards. So
that's fantastic.
They know that there is an issue. They don't want to tell. Amo is against the national team. It's easy to say. But then all the fans that were celebrating the Italian victory the other day, they're all shaking now because the international players are not coming back in time. So, you know.
And in saying that as well, Chiesa hasn't even been called up for Juventus on the weekend because they wanted to give him
play. Napoli Juventus.
They didn't even take him. You know, it just shows.
Napoli Juventus, the 3rd game of Serie A, not the 25th game. And between Napoli and Juventus, there's 12 players missing.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like, how do you get a quality game?
12 hours flying in their legs. What the hell is that?
No, it's nothing. It's nothing. I think we'll leave that one there, boys. We'll move on to the next one, which is one that I was very interested and very surprised to see these numbers. The highest earning clubs via transfers. Now, is there any surprise to see 2 of the Portuguese teams at the top there, considering when we see so many of their transfers that they've made and the quality of the players that they just seem like they've got a farm of players that they can just ship off to anyone. Amph, I'll let you take the reins on this one first. What were your thoughts on this one?
They made something like 44 million this season just by selling players like Pedrinho, Luca, Nuno Tavares, and that's just off the top of my head. You take into account the fact that they sold players like Ruben Diaz the season before, João Felix. I know they made some money off some other players as well. I just really can't think about it right now. Benfica is your classic case of a Portuguese club. It's just coming to me now. Raul Jimenez, who plays for Wolves. He was from Benfica as well. These players that come from these leagues, I don't think they're valued as highly as players that come through Spain or players that come through Italy or even Germany. These Portuguese players are allowed to succeed low-key, in my opinion. And they're not just Portuguese players, just players that go in a league like that. In my opinion, the lower the marketability and the broadcasting reach of the league, the more your stars can sort of excel in silence and raise their transfer value under the counter. And that's great to see, because a club like Benfica, to make the most money out of any club in the last 10 years, that's fantastic. Sporting as well. Your top two clubs are Portuguese. FC Porto is right there in the flesh at number 7. These are what you call, selling clubs. Ajax is a selling club. They're proclaimed as a selling club. They won't even hide that themselves. They'll tell you themselves, we pride ourselves on having one of the best youth academies and upbringing systems in Europe. We are going to train these players, develop these players, and then we are going to sell these players to fund any sort of expenses that we have. And our club is going to remain healthy. Other than that, there's nothing else to say. I'm very impressed with Chelsea being able to succeed the way that they have and the way that they've spent. They brought in Romelu Lukaku this market, and their books are still in the green. I'll say that again. They spent 115 million euros on one player, and their books are still in the green at the end of this market. That's Abramovich money right there. Barcelona, the fact that they're the third highest earning club in the last 10 years, but are still in the turmoil that they are in, is a little bit fascinating in my opinion. That's all I've got to say about this list. It is an interesting one. Zioamo? Sorry, John.
No, I was going to say that point on Barcelona. I think that just goes to show, looking back on the second slide that we brought up, when they were saying their highest paid what they'd played, to see that they were second and third, and then to see that they have transferred so many players and should have made so much money, just goes to show what a basket case of a club that they have been, and they're still not in the green for the and they're still in the red.
Don't forget, just came to my head, Luka Jovic was a Benfica player, and he moved to Frankfurt from Benfica, 21 million euros. I remember that one.
Zioamo, you mentioned before Atletico Madrid in the green, and you can see them there at number 5. What's your take on this list, Bello?
First of all, there's 2 surprises in this list. The rest does not surprise me, Barcelona, Real Madrid. But I think Barcelona, Real Madrid are in this list for the volume. Yeah. They buy a lot,
and they buy a lot.
And then they sell. Yeah. They keep playing 2 or 3 years on the bench and not good enough. They're young. What I like about Benfica, I don't know if you guys know, but one of my ex-players was playing for Benfica. He's an Australian kid. He went to Benfica B. What Benfica does, I don't know about Sporting and the others, but I'm assuming they're similar. What Benfica does, they have a Benfica B team in 3rd division. They've been having for many years. We only see Juventus in Italy now, but Benfica had the Benfica B team in 3rd division for many years. They're buying lots of young players. They bought an Australian kid called Anthony Carter, which was at Cluj. Anthony Carter went to play for Benfica. Gun of a kid. To me, it's the Cristiano Ronaldo of Australia. Got a bad injury, played in the B team, signed up with a 2nd division Benfica, 2nd division club in loan. Then Benfica sold him to Hong Kong United. And what they done with him, they probably doing a big scale with a lots of players. And out of all these players, if you don't get injury or you come through the rank, you go to the first team and then they sell you. But they already have the replacement ready here in the B team or on loan. Atletico Madrid does the same. If you go look the history of Atletico Madrid, check how long they had Falcao before he was playing for them. They were loaning him out to other clubs. Why they had who was the striker before Falcao? They had a top striker, and then they sold for a lots of money.
They had before Falcao, Aguero and Fernando Torres.
Forlan was there.
So every time they sell a top striker, the replacement that comes in, they've been in their rank for 4 or 5 years on loan or play second team. So this club are really smart. They know they're gonna, like you said, Anthony, they're selling club. I'm not surprised about Juventus because Juventus knows how to sell. Juventus never had to pull back. If they had to sell Zidane or anyone, they know how to sell, they know how to invest. But the only two surprise Real Madrid and Barcelona, but I think it's because the volume they sell.
Well, I just on that point, Armand, you're going to be surprised to hear this number. Real Madrid are the club with the least amount. They've only had 90 players go out and to be in 6th spot compared to Benfica, for example, which are number 1, 311 players.
Then I would
just kill my theory. My theory is gone now. They don't sell the volume.
It could be right though, because not many clubs have fetched triple-digit figures in the last 10 years. Real Madrid is one of those clubs. Juventus played them 100 million up front for Ronaldo. When you make 100 million, it must skyrocket you up the list past everybody
100%.
else, and then you just equalize yourself from there. 100 million is silly.
Even to see some of these other numbers as well. You know, Barcelona were only 106. You know, those Portugal teams, they're obviously, like we said before, they were just producing players and they've got some massive numbers that they were offloading. So, yeah, no, it was, look, like you said before, very good to see those clubs up the top there because, like we know, they produce good players and they're going to fetch out to other European teams who want them. And they've got the quality there and they're still competing. You know, when you look at it as well, they're still able to compete some to a certain degree in Champions League as well. Look at Porto last year, you know, knocking out Juventus in the, what was it, the round of 16, I think it was.
Ajax were a semi-final side. They got knocked out by Tottenham, who were in that list, who ended up making the final. So, you know, all these clubs do their bit. Yeah.
Guys, before we go on to the next point, I just want to raise a point. Make sure you like and subscribe to us and be sure to share us on Facebook and Instagram, and make sure to follow us on all of our social medias. We've got heaps of content. We've got heaps of shows coming up and all that. But moving on to our next point, the highest spending nations and leagues. Now, do we even need to say anything there?
What the hell?
Is that a surprise? The only surprise that gets me out of that is look at the pure numbers there. 12.4 billion in England spent. Admiral, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What's your take on this, mate? Does that just blow your mind?
No. Actually, I'm surprised that Italy holds on in 3rd position because we've been on the downside for a while. But if you think about the money that Juventus spent and Napoli spent when we went to buy Higuain, Tevez, they went to buy Ronaldo, we went to buy. So our club do spend. We spend very smart and wisely. England doesn't surprise me. Listen, England, when they decide to go to the Premier League, they create a brand and they learn how to sell the brand. I don't know about the Spanish league, but I watch a lot of Spanish here, so I'm pretty sure they know how to sell their brand, especially they had Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, so that was easy brand to sell. But Italian, for some reason, look, you're in Australia, you want to watch Serie A, it's a mess. You don't know which broadcast, which TV, which games, and it's the same message in Italy, because some games are on one platform, some other games on another platform, but then you need these other digital things connected, so they don't know how to sell the product. If you don't know how to sell the product, you don't make a lot of money. So those money cannot be redistributed to the team, and those teams cannot invest. Also, and once again, I don't have the proper formula, but I'm sure that in England, they make €10. They divide €10 for all the club in the Premier League. In Italy, we still have an ancient law that goes, that the money goes split. 20% or something, all equally. Another percentage to the team that got more fun. Another percentage to the team that got more history title. So at the end of the day, in Italy, they made a lot of, so the monies go towards always the same clubs. And that's why you don't see a nearly promoted team or a middle table team be able to spend like a middle table or a nearly promoted team in England. Because they get the same amount, but you finish last or you finish top. I believe that if there is a difference minimum, while in Serie A is a huge gap.
The other thing that I just want to raise before I go to you, Anth, just take the money that was purely spent in England. Remember when Leicester won it a couple of years ago? Complete fairy tale. fairy tale story that was, and Ranieri he just put everything together, and look at the money that was being spent in the rest of the league over that time and all that. And for them to do what they pulled off there, that was just an amazing feat. That's just one point I wanted to raise there. Amph, what's your take on this, brother Bello?
It doesn't surprise me, obviously. Like, I can't say off the top of my head what it is in Spain and England, but after doing a bit of cross-referencing today, like, all of these leagues have their players that they're willing to buy that sort of bump them up the list, but it's a lot of money spent. It doesn't surprise me in England. I'm not really going to talk about England because there's no point in me sitting here and talking about all the players that have been signed in the Premier League. You can figure that out anywhere you want. Spain, I was very surprised, as Amo said, to see Italy's still there, going hard at third.
I think there is some mistakes in this list. I think Germany and France needs to be replaced by Bayern Monaco and PSG because I don't see the rest of the
Very well said. Well, with Serie A, like, you've got 250 million alone just in Cristiano Ronaldo and Romelu Lukaku. You throw in players like Pogba, Higuain, De Ligt, Zidane, Artur, Osimhen, Ibrahimovic, Kaká. The list could go on in the last 10 years where the money has been spent. In terms of Ligue 1, doesn't surprise me as well. Their record signing is obviously Neymar, 222 million off the top of my head. They spent 145 to release Kylian Mbappe from his clause at Mbappe. Nicolas Pepe sold to Arsenal for 20 million as well. Plenty of activity with James Rodriguez when he moved to Real Madrid.
On Pepe, thank God Arsenal signed him up. He was about to sign in Napoli for the same amount.
Yeah. He's being exposed, man. But remember, Paris went on their spree where they were buying players like Cavani and Di Maria as well. Don't forget, they've just bought Achraf Hakimi for God knows how much. And I'm an Inter fan, and I don't even know the funnel. Like, it's crazy, man. It's nuts.
It's all about PSG.
It's nuts, man.
Money-wise, huh?
Germany, just a comment on Germany off the top of my head. You got players like Dembele from Dortmund a few years ago. Jadon Sancho has just moved to United for 85 million. Lucas Hernandez, Kai Havertz, Pulisic, Aubameyang, Jovic, Naby Keita, all these players as well have made up the funds. I was very interested personally in the fact that Russia was in that list. So I was just really curious. Can you guys guess? Anyone off the top of your head, what's the highest earning transfer in terms of Russia?
Well, look, Russia was the first China. Before China came on board, Russia were where all the players they want to make big money used to go. Remember? Yeah.
So actually, Hulk actually has
he would have been my second guess.
He has 2 of the top 5s in terms of being brought into Russia for 40 million for Zenit and then being sold to SH in the Super League in China. So as Amor just said, I think a lot of these leagues, they get a little bit of injection in funds, a little bit of injection in quality, and yeah, it really resembles the fact of the way it is.
Turkey's doing good. Turkey's been signing up a lot of good coaches and players, the Turkey League. I won't mind watching a few games. I never watch it, but they've been, signing up good players and good coaches.
Yeah,
it just shows, even seeing number 7 there, the spending spree that China went through when they went through that period, obviously before COVID. Mate, they made a big dent. Remember when they signed Tevez? What was he getting paid? Something like $1 million a week or something like that.
Pelle was making more money than any Serie A player in China. Pelle. Is that
Graziano Pelle in China, yeah.
Pelle, man.
Making 9.5 million a season when no one was making 9 million yet.
Come on.
There you go.
In China, Graziano Pelle.
Yeah.
Guys, before we wrap it up, there was another one I wanted to bring up. I just need to find the correct. Yes, here it is here. Out of the top of your head, top transfers by transfer fee. You know who was the biggest surprise for me to see on this? Di Maria in 2014 and Di Maria again in 2015, going from Real Madrid to Man United and then from Man United to PSG. He made the top 10 list twice. How does that go to show?
Man, I'll jump in and say this, man. After watching a lot of Manchester United, man, that's a club that just likes to buy the flashiest item on the shelf without knowing where they're going to put it in their house. It's a joke. It doesn't match up anywhere else. The fact that Di Maria came out the other day off the cuff and said, man, I don't give a about the Manchester United number 7. They paid the money. I went over there. I didn't even think Madrid was going to sell me. It was a surprise to me. Louis van Gaal had a conversation with him. He chucked him on the pitch. The weather wasn't sunny like it was in Madrid. He didn't have fresh seafood. Instead, it was soggy chips. He was very unhappy, bro. He's got to leave. He goes to PSG where he's surrounded by more players. He's very happy. I think football is a very fickle sport, and it's not just the fans being reactory to results or news. It's players now as well. It's social media. It's the fact that you can really change at the drop of a hat. And we're talking about a transfer that happened in 2015, 16, 14, 15, 15, 16. It's even more so now. It's going to keep happening, man. Like, it was unheard of. Amor, was it ever heard of that a player could move for that much money and then 10 months later be on the same transfer market?
But you guys are probably too young, but every 5-6 years, they said before Di Maria, Bale was a huge transfer fee.
Yeah.
And before that, you had Zidane from Juventus to Real Madrid, and then you had Ronaldo from Real Madrid to Inter.
I'll just read you the first couple, guys. So, of course, number 1 was Neymar. Second was Hazard. Third was Coutinho. Fourth was Dembele. João Felix came in 5th. Bale next after that. Pogba to Manchester United. And then Rodriguez as well. Then Di Maria finished from there. And then, the next one was Ronaldo after that. So,
yeah, I remember all these deals.
And also Di Maria, man, it's a player. I will sign him up in my club any day. It's a player.
Yeah.
It's actually very underrated, to be honest. Yeah, he gets a lot of money. Yeah, it's very high transfer fee. But because he play for PSG, European fan got this tendency that if you play for PSG, you play in a farmer league. But man, that guy's a top player. I watched him play anywhere he played, except Manchester United, especially with the national team. You can't say, I hardly can see any bad game from that player. He was
very good in the Copa America. I actually thought he was Argentina's best player, to be honest.
Yeah,
man. Every time he picked the ball up in the Copa, he was gone.
Man,
he scored the winning goal, didn't he?
Imagine if Real Madrid kept him.
Yeah.
Di Maria on the right, Ronaldo on the left, and at number 9, it could be me. Anyone could have scored goals.
100%. It just goes to show Benzema's still there knocking in the goals. He's been performing. He's been going unreal, which we've been covering in with Bruno every week. He's been going unreal. And you know what? They're starting to look like they've turned a corner under Ancelotti as well. But guys, before we wrap it up, is there anything else we needed to do or say before we go? Amph, you first.
Pretty good. Just a couple of comments on my end. Very interesting to see. It looks like Chile's going to miss out on qualification for the next World Cup. They're currently in 7th position in the qualifying for the CONMEBOL. I think there's actually only 1 game left for them. It says that they've played 9 games on my end, and unless there's more than 10 fixtures, which there might not be. Well, I think Chile's out of the next World Cup, and that's a big surprise for me on my end. I know that there's a few disciplinary issues in that squad, and I know looking at that squad, like some of their bigger players like Vidal, Sanchez, Gary Medel, they're coming to the end of their years as well. They're struggling to hold down that leadership factor because, let's face it, some of these players are a little bit concerned with other things on international duty than they are for actually playing with their country sometimes. And I think that's had a bad effect on them. Peru, at the end of the day, hit and miss. I heard Paraguay get in. Full power to Ecuador as well. But I've been closely following that, and it's good to see. From a European point of view, it looks like the Italian national side will go through. I had a bit of an embarrassing moment yesterday, boys, where I thought Italy had 10 qualifiers to play. It turns out there's only 8. So here I was yesterday thinking there was still 4 games left to go, but it turns out there's only 2. But other than that, we're seeing a lot of big sides dropping points to smaller nations, and you don't need to be a genius to figure out why. There's too much bloody football going on, man. There's too many international tournaments. There's too much rotation. Why is France struggling to score a goal against these teams? Why is Germany struggling to pick up the pace until later on during the game? These nations, quality for quality, are better than the other nations. There's a massive fatigue factor that's setting in here, man. And that's the last thing I'll say. We can't increase the volume. None of this World Cup every 2 years. None of this international tournaments. Screw it, bro. That'll kill it. That will be the last nail in the coffin for an already dead sport, like Amor's about to say.
Listen, as you know, I'm against international football. I don't think international football has any more room for football. I hate modern football. But one thing that modern football is, bro, is that there is money involved and national team just ruining those money. But having said so, let's pretend for a second. I'm the head of FIFA. I have the Copa South America. I had the European Cup. I had the Copa Africa. I have the Asian Cup. I have the Oceanian Cup. I don't need the qualification. I take the best 6 teams from each continental cup and I put them together to play the World Cup. I've already eliminated 2 years of useless games.
Yeah.
And trust me, there's no money in this game because when Italy faced San Marino, there is no money because TV don't care, sponsors don't care, and fans don't care. You got the casual family go to the stage. Hey, let's go watch Italy San Marino. Internet with a little flag. They're not football fan. We don't need that people. That people are ruling our game, are destroying our game. Our game is not for them. They can go to the carnival parade. There is so many parties they can go. Just people in charge need to take a step back and I think whatever happened with the Super League, it was a big rocking things that's gonna bring us some new improvement from our point of view, from the fans' point of view, not because football belongs to fans. Because the reason why those clubs retreated from a European league is a financial reason, because the English Prime Minister got involved big time. But that's big stuff. But because of that, we might be lucky because FIFA, UEFA, now they scarce at all. There was a tentative of breaking away. We managed to stop it, but now we need to give something to the other clubs. Otherwise, the idea will keep moving and growing. So this is one good thing. But I don't understand why. What's the point to have a World Cup qualification when you already have the club qualifier? Italy won the European, go to the World Cup.
Yes.
Who was in final with Italy? England, go to the World Cup. The other 2 semi-finalists go to the World Cup. Who won the Copa America? Argentina, go to the World Cup. And then you really get the end. You give a lots of value to those continental cup. And right now, honestly, no disrespect, European football, especially Euro this year, was very low in quality. You had a couple of good players in a good team. They got eliminated. The rest was just start giving the same thing. I keep saying to everyone, why the National Cup doesn't get a spot in Champions League? Instead to get the first 4 in Italy or in England or in Germany or in France, get the top 3 and the winner of the National Cup going to the Champions League. You will see that the National Cup become important and teams start playing them. I don't understand if we can see this on a half an hour video on YouTube, why people that get $trillions a year to come up with those ideas, all they're doing, the handball. If the hand is here, it's off. It's a handball. If it's hands is here, no. If the hands is like this, no. Offside rule, yes, no. They keep changing the same rule every year. It's like they try to justify their salary. Stop changing football rule. They've been there for over 100 years, and they made these sports the best sports in the world. Just sit down, and you know what's really bad? These people cannot juggle the ball. You ask Sefarin to do 10 tackle, he will not be able to lift the ball. You ask the guy in charge of FIFA, he has no idea if the ball is around and what's the size of the ball. But they are in charge. And they're making decisions for the football world. The world is upside down in football right now.
Yeah, it is.
Maradona was right. Diego was right when he always said, these people are the enemy number 1 of football. Look what they did to him and what they're doing to the football movement. And I finished there, otherwise this video get banned.
Guys, I think we'll wrap it up there. What an amazing discussion. Amo, thank you for joining us on European Weekly Catch Up. It was a pleasure to have you. Guys, make sure you do check out Zio, Amo, and Anthony on Serie A Roundtable, which they host every week. And, mate, keep those rants coming, Zio, Amo. I hope you have a good weekend ahead, brother.
Jonathan, I thought you were going to sign me up. I was about to resign from the Italian Serie A. No,
mate, don't worry. I've got a shirt coming in the mail for you. Don't worry. Already.
Next week, my name is going to be in the transfer list. Mbappe, Amo from Serie A.
I'm thinking more loan with the obligation to buy, bro, to be honest.
Hey, don't worry. The obligation's already paid. Don't worry about that. And always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Hello. I want to thanks all the viewers. And guys, help this community to grow. These boys here, plus Bruno, are putting a lot of effort to get you some quality segment. You have no idea how much hard work they put behind. I can see because they send me all the messages. They are really trying to do the best. Comment if there's something you think we can improve or something you think we don't do right, just comment. We like to answer to everyone. So follow the page, like, subscribe, wherever you want to do it. And thanks, Jonathan, for having me.
Beautiful. Love it. And thank you again for another episode, brother. It's always a pleasure to get together on the microphone.
Pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure. And if there's anyone new watching to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, all that fancy stuff.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
Ciao.